The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, Marshall Reddick real estate investors, and thank you for joining us tonight to talk about the Indianapolis, Indiana market. We are very excited to have you all on tonight, and we're going to spend the next hour talking about one of my personal favorite markets because I own 2 properties there. So, by the way, this is Kristen Tabar. I'm a realtor and real estate advisor here with Marshall Reddick Real Estate. And like I said, really excited to talk about Indy tonight, so much so that I almost forgot to introduce myself. So let's get rocking and rolling. All right, again, like I said, my name is Kristen Tabar. Welcome again, everybody, to tonight's presentation. These are just a few snapshots of myself and my family, a little get to know me a little bit and kind of see the reasons that I come to work with all of you on a daily basis and what my husband and I are investing for. It's for these 2 little faces. That's JT, he's 2, and little Cassie, who's about 5 months old, and my husband, of course, and myself. So a little bit about me. Now, if you see me walking down the street, you'll recognize me and feel free to say hello. All right, let's do a quick sound check. Just let me know you guys can hear me. You'll have a panel where you guys can ask questions and you can interact, and feel free to ask questions as we go along. If there's anything that's not making sense that you want a little bit of clarification on, please go ahead and hop on at any time. Let me know that you guys can hear us, and if ever anything goes awry and you can't, let us know as well, and we'll see what technically is going on our end. Looks like we're good to go. So here's a little bit more information about me that doesn't solely revolve around my family. I've been a licensed realtor in California for almost 4 years now. I've been with Marshall Reddick Real Estate for 2 of those 4 years. And my husband and I actually started investing in real estate with Marshall Reddick before I got the job here. So that's really exciting for me. It's nice that I get to practice what I preach, if you will, as the cliche goes. But I own property in Indiana, Tennessee, Florida, and Arizona. And I really like to work with investors on a daily basis, helping for you guys to achieve your real estate goals like I've also been able to do. So like I mentioned, licensed here in California. So if out of state isn't your cup of tea, we can also help you locate investment property here in California and manage that property for you as well. So a little bit about Marshall Reddick Real Estate for those of you who are joining us for the first time tonight, if it's your first event. We are a full-service real estate brokerage in California. We help our buyers and sellers to purchase and sell property here locally. We are a property management company as well. We manage property from as far north as LA County and down south to South Orange County. And we are a private money lender as well. There's several reasons that individuals are unable to qualify for a conventional loan. And in that event, we offer a private borrowing option for our purchasers, and we also offer for our investors to actually invest in those mortgages and trust deeds. So it really is a one-stop shop for investors who would like to invest in real estate in some way, and we connect you to all the members of the team that you'll need: insurance agents, lenders, managers, your CPAs, everybody that you need on your team to ensure a smooth real estate transaction. All right, moving right along to how we choose our investment markets. Obviously, we have several criteria that we look at, and we want to make sure that our markets fall into these categories, because that means a good return for our investors and a good experience as well. So how do we choose where to invest? Our markets need to be strong in the job and economic department. We need to see low vacancy rates. Economic diversity, this is a big one. You want to make sure there's a lot of diverse options for your tenant pool to have employment, because unemployment means high vacancy rates and people need to have jobs to pay rent. So this is a big one here. Affordability also from the standpoint of a renter and from that of an investor. You want to make sure that your rents are affordable for your tenants and that they're able to pay those rents on time. Is your state landlord friendly? We know that Indiana is. That's a big one as well. We want strong education. Education leads to workforce. Workforce means renters, and you know, we all know how that goes. And reliable property management. I think this is actually worthy of being number one, because when I'm sitting here in California, I want to know that I have a reliable management company in Indiana, in Indianapolis specifically, taking care of my properties while I'm hundreds of miles away. So we always make sure that in each market we have a property management company that's responsive and dependable. We're in 16 major metro markets across the US. Indianapolis, of course, is one of them, and what we're going to be focusing on and talking about tonight. The dark gray states obviously are the states that we're currently investing in. I know some of you already own property in a few of these, and let's move right along so that we can get some more info on Indiana. And before we get started, we're going to do a quick poll question for those of you who thought you were just going to get to sleep the entire show. Just kidding, I know you didn't think that. But let's go ahead and launch our first poll. Can you guys see that? It's not popping up on my screen. Christopher, do you see a poll question?
I do see a poll question.
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
interested in the Indianapolis real estate markets.
Excellent, thank you. So we're going to give everybody a couple of seconds to go ahead and respond to this first question. I'm interested in the real estate market in Indianapolis because, and you've got 5 choices: stable and growing economy and job market. I want property that I'll appreciate, for positive cash flow, personal reasons, or you're Dorothy and you're flying through a tornado and you have no idea which market you like and you're not sure how you ended up here. So there's no wrong answer. We're not going to tell anybody how you answered, and it'll be completely anonymous. We just want to get an idea for what everyone's looking for tonight. So I'll give you a couple more seconds until it looks like everybody's responded. All right, let's go ahead and see what all of our friends said. All right, no surprise here. 50% said positive cash flow. I think that's a big reason that most of us invest. I know that's a huge one for my husband and I as well. Positive cash flow means a little extra cash in your wallet. So 25% stable and growing economy, 6% want appreciation, 6% said personal reasons, and 13% of us are a little bit lost, and hopefully we have a better idea of why we like Indianapolis by the time we get through tonight. So thank you guys for participating. Let's move right along. For those of you who are new to us tonight, I know you had to register for the webinar on our website, but if you haven't taken the opportunity, you can click through on our property page and you can see all of the properties that we will show tonight on our website, and you can adjust the financials, you can see the property ratings, and if the property rating system doesn't make sense to you, you can find the Reddit property rating ebook. It's a free download, it's a quick 20-minute read, and it'll walk you through the methodology of how we arrived at the rating system, how to classify properties, and you can actually do that in any market across the US. So it's not exclusive to Indianapolis. And that having been said, we're going to dive right in. So again, everybody, I love the Indianapolis market. My husband and I own 2 properties here. One of them, in fact, is in an area called the Franklin Township, and real hot market out there right now, and Christopher will get into that a little bit later on. And when we get to showcasing the properties, we'll let you know which ones are in that area and get a little bit more details on the neighborhoods. A little bit about what we're going to cover today. We're going to hear from Christopher Hayden Jones. He's our Indianapolis, Indiana rep. We're going to hear a little bit about his background, get to know him a little bit. He's going to walk us through the market, talk about the major points in Indianapolis that make it a great investment option. We're going to talk about the management. We're going to talk about the rental market specifically, and of course, present some hand-selected investment properties. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Christopher Hayden Jones.
Hey, thank you, Kristen, very much. That was a wonderful introduction. I appreciate it. All right, guys. Good evening. It is nighttime here for me out here, but I'm happy to be part of this webinar and to talk about Indianapolis. It's the city that I grew up in. It's also the city that I spend my days selling and working with investors as well as my owner-occupant clients. And I'm very passionate about this city. And if we do get a chance to work on a transaction together, you will hear that in my voice. You will hear it and see it in how quickly I respond to things, and just making sure that you know what you're getting, where you're getting, and you're comfortable with your investment here. So a little bit about me. Marsha Reddick found me about a year ago, actually trying to purchase a property that I had just closed on for an investment and had missed it by a few days. And I just reached up my hand and said, I can help with this. And it looked like it was a good match. And for the last year, I've really enjoyed working with the clients that they educate out, mainly in California, but we do have some from other parts of the country. And it's been a really good addition to my real estate practice. I am the founder and leader of the Jones team, and I am working with a handful of buyer agents under me. We're all affiliated with Keller Williams, Indy Metro. It's an international brand if you've not heard of it. Keller Williams is very strong and fundamentally trains its agents to build teams and to be of service to all of their clients, which is what attracted me to this particular company. I've been a broker for about 10 years here in Indiana, and I've been with two brands. I've been with Century 21 prior to this, and then Keller Williams. And I work with a variety of market segments, including the real estate luxury market for my downtown area, where I'm actually situated in Indianapolis downtown. If you come out to visit me, you'll meet me in my office, and I'll show you our city. First-time home buyers, investors, much like yourself, as well as some land sales and builders. So if it has to do with real estate, I've worked with it. Kristen, can we go ahead and move forward, please, with that slide? All righty. So this part of the presentation, we hear why Indianapolis is such a great market for you to invest in. And it's going to be a hot list, and I'm going to fill in some of the gaps. But in short, Indianapolis is growing in leaps and bounds. For the longest time, we were called India No Place, which isn't fair, because we had the first of many things. We had the first actual city market. We had the first Union Station for trains. On a side note, we had the first women's only prison, but that's closed now. But since then, we're getting back on the map by creating world-class attractions. Our job market growth is outstanding because of the incentives that we present to businesses and make it very attractive for them to move here. None of which the lease is not a sales force. And we have got a very solid history of real estate data being very consistent. As we move forward, we'll be able to, I'll show you when we had the crisis and the adjustment in 2008, I'll show you how minimally affected our prices were. And we've got great cash flow and affordability. I mean, everything about Indianapolis is good. It's a solid financials. We have so much to bring in. People like, of course, we've got our theater, which is a world-class, Indianapolis Repertory Theater is a world-class theater that is part of the League of Regional Theaters, which is a nationwide organization. We've worked very hard to create beautiful spaces for our residents and our visitors. This is the Indiana Central Canal, which we've redeveloped this section as basically a green space. It's actually used to be operational to ship goods from the White River up through Indiana, but at this time it is just an attraction. It's stunning. It's gorgeous. Of course, we have the Colts, and if you like basketball, we have the Pacers. I don't think it's listed, but again, this is just a list of great things we have. The Children's Museum, we've worked very hard. It's world class. It's in the top 5 in the world for children's museums. Of course, the Indy 500. Everybody's heard about the greatest spectacle in racing. White River State Park. It's another example how Indiana and Indianapolis in particular invest in its people's experience. As they want people to come here, we want people to stay here, and we do that by creating affordability, and we create beautiful places for people to be. And so here are some of the stats, and we'll just blast through these pretty quick. But we are, I wonder how many of you knew these already. If you've seen the webinar or seen me in person out in California, you may have heard of these. But we are the nation's 15th largest city. We are the amateur sports capital of the world. We have the NCAA right here on the canal, and so we have the chance to host many of those events, including the Final Four, which is great. Of course, we had the Super Bowl. We're in bids for it to happen again. The Brickyard 400 just happened, and again, of course, the Indy 500. We do have a multitude of cultural, educational, sports, shopping, and dining opportunities. Our food landscape is just, again, we create an environment for business to come, for larger businesses to bring their established restaurant brands and chains, but also we support within, and we create an environment for people to really have an entrepreneurial spirit and have a chance to make something out of their idea. And it's all translates into people coming here and needing places to live. And we do rank as the #1 market for investors currently right now. Now, this is an interesting part. We are called the Crossroads of America, and this was one of the facts that I did go back and fact check because it was just an odd fact. But we are hours away from everything. We are 2 hours from Cincinnati, 3 hours from Chicago and Columbus, Detroit, St. Louis. They're just one-tank trips. And as I reflect on my own experience being here in Indianapolis, I grew up here, by the way. I've been to all of these cities, and I've been there as day trips, and Indianapolis is a great place to access everything in the Midwest section of this country, which gives us a great environment for people that want to come to our city, but also feel connected to some of the larger hubs like Chicago and St. Louis, et cetera, Atlanta. We can move on.
You got it.
Thanks. All right, so our business community, this is from Forbes, as of 2016, we have 7 Fortune 500 companies, which are Anthem, Eli Lilly, Cummins, Dynamic, Zimmer. We also now have Salesforce is now here, and I believe they have crested up and out of the Fortune 500, but that may need a fact check. But Salesforce is one of the largest recruiters of talent, second only to Eli Lilly, and then thirdly Cummins, for bringing people in that are here on contract or here for a while. I know that Eli Lilly spends, when they have people coming in to work on a project, it may be a 18-month to a 5-year contract job, and that is not always very attractive to buy into as a homeowner. However, you don't want to necessarily be living out of a small box for the next 5 years. So with you as investors creating rental inventory, you create an option for these long-time contract folks that are coming in with Lilly and Salesforce and Cummins, and Rolls-Royce is not represented here, but Rolls-Royce also brings in quite a few engineers every single year. And I have personal experience with all these companies because in my former brokerage, I worked extensively with the relocation department, and many times what we were looking for is we were looking for homes in nice areas to rent. So, and thank you, Kristen. And another thing that brings people here, and it's a little bit off brand for the properties we're looking at today, but it certainly is a viable investment segment, and that is the student housing. We have Indiana IUPUI, which is Indiana Purdue. They have come together, and that is our commuter version of the two universities. When the students come to study here, typically if they're IUPUI students that will be renting properties, they're going to be in their postgraduate work. We have a lot of doctoral programs that run through, and the labs are here, the law school is here, the medical university attached to IU is here. Many of Purdue's agri-labs are here. So a lot of the postgraduates, which are people that are ready to step up from the dorm, and they're ready to have something that resembles a life, but they're still students, but not quite ready to buy. That's a great segment. And then Butler University, University of Indianapolis, Marion University is not represented, but those are all private schools that are sought after nationally, internationally by students. And when they come here for their graduate work and their postgraduate work, again, we look to you to invest in our city, to create inventory so that we can create a symbiosis, bringing you revenue while we develop our city and develop our students. So moving forward. Alrighty, Indianapolis by the numbers. As of 2016, Indianapolis Metro, we're just shy of 2 million folks. And since 2000, like I said, we've been growing leaps and bounds. A population growth of 39.6%. That's outstanding for 17 years. It's huge. And the cost of living, now this is a number you want to circle. Everything here is cheaper. 7.6 below the U.S. average, and that is, that's gasoline, that is home purchase, that they're buying into a home, that's our education, everything, just living in general. It's much more comfortable for these markets and these market segments that are traditionally identified as people most likely to rent. So our, and it just say that our median is right just shy of 160 at $159,800. And this stat, this little tidbit here, the millennials shifting in the market. What I'm seeing on a sales trend is we're seeing that they would like to have an experience that is similar to what they're having at their parents' house, but they're not quite ready to invest in a long-term purchase. So that is a perfect match for the types of homes that you'll find through the Marshall Reddick website and me through Indianapolis. Our brand is to sell a solid B property that is attractive and cash flowing, that has very low maintenance and has very low numbers to get into the property, and then rent it at a market position where it's attractive to our students, to our contractors, to our transitioning families, everybody who would be interested in renting, and then create positive cash flow for you. All righty. Our local government. This is interesting, and I'll touch on this very quickly. Indiana ranks 13th among the best states for business according to Forbes. We do offer quite a bit of tax incentives. We make it very attractive for people to come. And I won't go into the details any further on that, except what that does is create opportunity for them to bring in contractors, which will then rent from you. And it is ranked in the 50 best places. And this is a fact that I learned when I was in 8th grade civics class. Oh, I just dated myself. Nobody calls it civics anymore. But Indiana, we have to have a surplus when we balance our budget. We must have a balanced budget every year. We do not go into deficit ever. And that creates a very stable economy, and it gives us the ability to offer the incentives that we do, and it allows us to invest in our city, make it attractive to internationally, and create an environment that can develop for investors such as yourself and for business investors, much like our companies that are coming in. And this is a new fact to me, that, you know, in 2016, you know, ending with a 2.24 billion of the largest reserve in our history. So that's nice. Nice to know that it's there. All right, Kristen. Okay, the job market, as I touched on before, we are the best, one of the top 20 cities for a new college graduate. You know, we're in the top 5. We have, well, I guess we are number 5. 4.17 job growth in the metro area. And when you're here, I have a vantage point. I can see it. It's leaps and bounds. And with the educational opportunities here, there is a very large segment that is bachelor's degree or beyond, and 30% is probably a conservative number at this point. But again, this just goes to show what sort of the quantity of people that we have for you to present your properties to. And I guess we had 37,000 jobs added in 2016. And a large segment of that is going to be, again, to Salesforce, Eli Lilly, Cummins, Rolls-Royce, and Roche. They're all growing, and they're all bringing people in. So we are actually running at a shortage of some solid inventory. Moving forward. So again, we can just take a moment to look over this. We have a very low unemployment rate, and I will not belabor that point. We can move on, but it does touch a couple of other. Indianapolis is centered, and then our surrounding counties. We have Hamilton County, we have Boone County, we have Greenwood, and I'm going to touch on a few of those in just a moment. But tonight we're going to be focusing on Franklin Township, which is in our southeast. And moving forward, Kristen.
Absolutely. Just before I do that, I want to point out to everybody who doesn't know, the unemployment rate actually ties directly into the vacancy rate. So you can see there, as of June 2017, the unemployment rate is down to 2.9%. That means your vacancy rate is somewhere around 2.9% as well. They directly correlate with each other. So that's excellent news from the standpoint of an investor. You want to make sure that the vacancy rate's low, because that helps to ensure that you'll have a renter in place. So just a little tidbit.
Great, thank you for that. And do you want to pitch this one? This is a Marshall Reddick product. Kristen, do they get this from you?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is our market data report on the Indianapolis, Indiana market. We put together a packet like this for each of our individual markets. You can find this on the website. The link is on your screen right now, marshallreddick.com/Indianapolis. You can also find it on our Learn page, and it is going to basically compile all the data for you in one easy to find location. So everything that Christopher talks about today and more is going to be in that data packet, and you can find that on our site. So I'll hand it back to you, Christopher.
All right, can you hear me?
No.
Kristen, can you hear me again?
There you are.
Can you
You're
hear
back.
me now?
Yes,
okay.
You're back.
Yes. My headphones decided to take a moment for itself. All right, guys. So back to this. Let's take a look at the Indianapolis real estate market. There are a couple things that we saw before. The median sales price we saw was just shy of 160,000, and that is 30% below the national average. And these stats are coming out of Forbes and Money Magazine. And wow, a 300% return. But moving forward, let me describe the market. Let's go to the next slide, and I will talk about our market and talk about our taxation, because that is something that we need to discuss. Our taxes, our property taxes, are written into our Constitution. For a long time, one of the ways that we kept our balanced budget was whatever amount we needed to balance our budget was then broken up amongst all the property, and that determined the property tax rates. And that, about a decade ago, became a huge mess. So, and there was a lot of assessments that had to be adjusted. It was a real problem. And to correct it, what has happened is we now have written into our Constitution that owner-occupants receive a 1% Facebook 1% taxation on the assessed value, and then non-owner occupied, called livable properties, which is you guys. It's what's called a cap 2, and that means it can go all the way up to a 2% taxation on the assessed value, which again, we want the assessed value to be low, but the market value to be high. That's our sweet spot. And when we're going through these properties together and you're looking to make your purchase, I walk you through all of this in detail so that we can see the assessments, we can see how they got there, and we can see the taxation rate. But here for you, expect it to be 2%. That will always be a conservative estimate for you. Now, circling back to the trends in Indianapolis, as you can see, real estate nationally has always gone up. We have moments where the market corrects itself, but real estate has always been and always will be a solid investment over time. It just goes up. And the numbers I want to point you to are the 2006 and 2008 numbers, where we were having our adjustment and the nation was in a panic. If you look in 2006, we were down only 3.63%. That's a big number to hold on to. And then we were back up 1%, which not many markets can tout. But then again, when we went down in 2008, we only went down negative 7.72%. That's huge. That's a credit to our stability. That's a credit to our economy. It's a credit to the way we manage our city and our state, and the types of businesses that come in and rally, and the types of economic decisions that as a whole this city made. We were able to come through one of the toughest economic times in real estate in my lifetime, and subsequently I'm 45 years old, that I have seen. So, all right, moving on.
Absolutely. And if you guys notice, again, in 2010, it was up 7.97%. So Indianapolis recovered completely from that crash in just 2 years. And there's not a lot of markets where that was the case. So again, it just goes to their stability in the economy, and which just creates a very good environment for investors.
And as you see from that point, it's been a constant move upward. So again, that speaks to our general financial and economic state in our state. And this is the Zillow index, and what it shows is that as we adjusted, it needed an adjustment, but it's moving, it's back up. And we adjusted in 2016 some, but we're now moving back up again and starting to see a shortage of inventory, which for you means that we're going to have rental increases. Yeah, do you want to add to that, Kristen, or move forward? Okay, great. This is a general layout of Indianapolis. If you look on the image on your right in the center of that graph is the center of our city, the center of our state, and we have a big monument that marks it, the Soldiers and Sailors Monument. Boom, right there in the center. And that orange Marion County, we're going to be looking at properties in Marion County, but the counties I mentioned earlier, those are our surrounding counties, and I keep an eye on all of these markets. I work in all of the markets, and as they're emerging, I try to get you ahead of the curve as quickly as possible. Hamilton County, you may have heard quite a bit about that. That's our Fishers, our Geist, our Carmel, our Noblesville, our Westfield, that was very, very hot last year and the year prior and the year prior to that. So for 3 years, it has been running hot. At this point, for investment purposes, we are hitting records in Hamilton County for purchase. So it's at a set point. It needs to cool off again before you're going to be able to purchase at a point to give you a really strong cash flow. If you have Hamilton County properties right now, you've got in at a fantastic time. At this point in time, we're going to be hard pressed to find properties that are below the median price point, and we're going to be hard pressed to find properties that are going to be positive cash flow, because much of Hamilton County was developed and there was a boom because of the amount of attention that came to the school district, the Hamilton Southeastern School District. So these neighborhoods were developed to attract family units and to attract people that had children to go into these schools and to feed the school system. And at this point, it is saturated. So we're not going to talk about Hamilton County much this evening. I'm going to keep my eye on it. And I would say, real estate works in cycles. And when it's time for Hamilton County again, I'll be the first one to say it's time to buy and it's time to hold. Let's get in there. What's emerging right now is Franklin Township, which is in the southeastern corner of Marion County, and we will discuss that primarily when we get to the properties. But the surrounding areas of Marion County, we have Speedway, we have Cumberland, we have the Greenwood areas. Beyond the second or third dots outside of Marion County, we turn to quite a bit of rural area. So there's not a lot of inventory, there's not a lot of opportunity for investment, but we do have some outliers in Shelbyville, which is it's mostly a commuter town to Indianapolis. It's a solid blue-collar hourly working area. So there are opportunities out there. They'll be in the lower B, higher C range. Going to the east, which is to the right. Right, thank you. That's fine. In Hancock County, as we move east to Greenfield, there are some scattered opportunities out there. It is a commuter town, but it's also very rural. So we have a lot of owner-occupied out in Hancock County, and I'm keeping my eye on those because as the school system develops and as it becomes more incorporated and it starts to develop its own city centers, then that's where we're going to start seeing those properties. But let's move forward to the properties. Let's go. Property management. I got ahead of myself. I'm very excited. I want to get to Franklin Township. So as Chris said at the top of the webinar, property management really should be your number one focus. And you can only feel comfortable in your investment if you feel comfortable in the management of your investment. And a year ago, a task was set upon me to go and talk to my own property managers and find who had a heart of service is basically what I was looking for. Somebody who was new to business, wasn't new to the business, wasn't overwhelmed for the business, and had the client service and client's attention at heart, and make sure that the interests were aligned. So this is Mike Taylor of Red Door Property Management. He is my number one referral. He and I work very closely when it comes to partnering up with you as investors. You, of course, have the right to choose anybody you want. I recommend if you do want to talk to other people, you at least talk to Mike, and you have, I believe, Marshall Reddick and Christian can help you with this. There's a series of questions, and the best way to know how you feel about a property manager is to ask those questions. They're very well written. And Mike came in. He actually grew up in San Diego, and is a transplant out here. But I can't speak more highly of the guy, of his work ethic, of his team. I've met all of them. I show up on site. I do drop-ins, and he's always right there, ready to work for you. And he makes sure that the interests are aligned, so you never so you never feel as though you're a small fish in a large pond. You can own one property, or you can own a portfolio of properties, and your service will be exactly the same from Mike and his team. And moving on to the next slide, and this is just the bullet points of what he does provide for you. And of course, you'll see this for all of them: the marketing, tenant placement, and the financial reports. It's an online portal. It's a very smooth, a very fluid portal. So you always know where you are and more importantly, where your money is. And rent collection comes through that portal. So we're not waiting on checks. We're not waiting on tenants to hand deliver. It all comes through that portal. And the most important bullet point on this one is the process of tenant screening. Mike has established a business with Red Door that makes sure that your clients and your candidates for tenants have been screened to make sure there's no evictions, to make sure there's no convictions, and then he also speaks to them and has an interview process to make sure that what is going into your property is a well-screened, solid renter that hopefully will be there for many lease renewals. And if not, Mike will evict them. He's got a solid process in place, and he will work quickly to keep your revenue streams flowing. All right, and he does to make sure that we do offer a network deal. He does the leasing fee is 60% of the first month's rent. Normally, it's between 180, depending on the asset's value, and then the monthly management is 8%. It's normally 10%. And there is never an upcharge on maintenance or repairs. There's flat rates, and he can go over that. His website is inclusive of all of these repairs, but he does not put a premium on maintenance or repairs. Now, one of the things that Mike does that goes above and beyond that really attracted me to his business, and this is before I had the opportunity to meet him and see what kind of great guy he is, but the services just on paper, the move in, move out videos that are uploaded to YouTube for YouTube review, that's outstanding. That way you can see firsthand what your property looks like before they go in and after they go out. So there's no question about the condition of the property and what happened between those two videos, stands to reason happened with your renters. And you do receive that via email. Once again, the tenants are required to pay online, which means that your cash flow is predictable and it's directly deposited into your account. And they do keep a paperless office. And looping back to the videos, they also do a check-in at the 6-month period. They want to make sure that your properties are maintained. They don't have any surprises at the end of the year. So moving forward, it's time. It's time.
It's the main event.
This is my favorite. This is my favorite. Okay, guys, this is where I get very excited. These are actual properties that are live right now. We have the pro formas loaded up into the Marshall Reddit, so please go look at those after the webinar, and hopefully, we can put you into some of these properties in the next day or two. I have carefully picked these properties so that they are mostly new to the market and they're moving fast. So let's move forward.
Absolutely.
All right. Yay, Wild Horse Drive. Okay, Wild Horse Drive. Is everybody, I guess I don't get to see show of hands. Kristen, do you get to see show of hands? Are people familiar with the way to read this pro forma?
I can
high five or
definitely chime in. They've been a little bit active thus far. I can also do a really brief overview. So what you guys are looking at right now is a pro forma that we generate directly from the Marshall Reddick website. So underneath the picture, you're going to see some stats about the property, the class that it falls in, build date, size, and other criteria about the physical property itself. On the right-hand side is where you're going to see the financial analysis. So We always default to a down payment of 25%. The reason for this is because generally with that 25% down, you're going to see a little bit better return monthly. And this also tends to reduce your interest rate slightly in terms of your conventional loan. We estimate the closing costs, your mortgage payment there, taxes, insurance are all figures that we get directly from Christopher based on the property, the subject property. Management fee is that 8% that we've already discussed. And so down here where that's highlighted is your monthly income, and that's going to be your net income after your fixed expenses. Underneath that, where you see estimated maintenance, estimated vacancy, and leasing fee, those are estimated expenses that you will incur at some point during the life of your investment. There's going to be maintenance, there's going to be vacancies. We just don't know when or what the cost is going to be. So we estimate those, and that percentage is directly related to the property class. So this B class property is going to be a 10% estimate for both of those fields. The leasing fee per this management company with Red Door is 60%. And we arrive at the number you see here on your screen by taking 60% of 1 month's rent, which is $1,275, and spreading that over 18 months, because what we have found is, on average, if you hold a property for 15 years, you'll experience a vacancy every 18 months. Now, of course, we know that you're going to likely have your tenant sign a 12-month lease, but over the course of ownership for 15 years, this is just an average. And so that's what we divide the leasing fee over. And if you put this money aside every 18 months, you'll have half of 1 month's rent. So if you need more clarification on those numbers, I am absolutely happy to review it again. But in the interest of getting to the properties and making sure that we see everything, I'm going to throw it back over to you, Christopher, and let's talk properties.
Great. It's my favorite part. Okay, so in Franklin Township, this is the new hot area that investors are coming into, because everything that happened in Hamilton Southeastern that's now saturated is now being pumped into this school district. It's growing. It's starting. I mean, new developments are building. We're creating inventory, and it's becoming picked up for investors. It's just a great area. I live in this area. I live in Franklin Township, so I'm watching it happen with my own two eyes. I'm selling owner-occupant right and left to people in Franklin Township. I actually have, I'm competing, I have 6 clients right now that we're shopping for this area. Now, these properties that I've picked for you today, they're at a price point that will generate a positive cash flow, and they're new to the market, and they are relatively new builds. So this property is only 10 years old, so your mechanicals are going to be in good shape, the roof is going to be in good shape. As you can see, we have some stonework for the structure. Chances are that's probably a facade, but I know these builds, and they're solid. So if we go, Kristen walked through the numbers on this one, but we're looking at a cash flow of $112.15, and this is a great neighborhood. Wildcat Run is just adjacent. It's moments away from the interstate, which gives it great connectivity. It was a development that got a little ahead of themselves when they built them in 2007, and they built too much inventory, so they took a real hit, creating a price opportunity for you. But they are great homes. They're great neighborhoods. It's coming back. I've sold 2 homes of Wildcat Run to Marshall Reddick folks, and they're rented. It's just a solid neighborhood. And if you have any questions about these specifically, the best way is to contact Kristen and or me, and then we can discuss each one in specific detail about how you want to move forward with your offer. And I will say, most of these properties are going to trade between 97 and 100% of the list price. These properties move fast because they're priced well. And that puts us in a position where our first offer in must be as strong as possible. And I just want to lay those kind of as ground rules for when we're moving forward, especially in these neighborhoods. This isn't a type of investment where we're looking to spend 60 cents on the dollar. This has statistically moved 97% to 100%, and the appreciation rate for these areas is just climbing. So this is 5637 Wild Horse. It's a great example. If you go to the website after the webinar, you'll see more pictures of the interior. It's well finished. The $1,500 initial repair cost, that's in case we want to always do new keys. It's for a deep cleaning, for paint touch-up. But this property is pretty much ready to go with a nice neutral palette. So moving forward, Kristen, hit that button. All right. Inspiration of Indianapolis. This is a little bit further rural in Franklin Township. It's been around for a little bit. This one's been on the market for a little bit longer because it's a little bit smaller, but it's perfect for a transitioning family. It's perfect for many of the renters that we have identified, and most importantly, it's in a great neighborhood. I mean, it's in a fantastic neighborhood, and I pulled these comps today, so I was able to see what was renting. And $1,275 is the conservative estimate because it's one of the smaller builds within this neighborhood, but they had other properties that were renting in the $1,300, $1,350 area. So when I'm pricing these rents, I try to be conservative with the rents because the last thing I want to do is overpromise and underdeliver. But if you see, if we're able to achieve these numbers with a 25% down payment of $32,500, and we're able to get that renter in immediately, you know, we have a fantastic cash flow of $126.83. So again, take a look at this property. It won't be around long. So take a look at the pro forma, and if you're ready to pull that trigger and write an offer, I can't be more excited about Franklin Township. All right, next one, Kristen. Okay, let's go to the next one. We'll come back to Whistlewood. I'll tell you why. Let's go forward. Okay, let's go forward one more. We'll go back to. I've got good news though. Never mind. Go back to Amber Springs.
Let's start with Amber Springs, then we'll go back, and then we'll do the poll.
Okay. Well, okay. All right, guys. The one that I was excited about, it's on the website. So again, you'll need to go back and hit that button. You'll need to call me on it. There's a property, 6640 Heritage Hill Drive. It's one of the properties that's going to be more challenging to purchase. But everybody always asks me when we have our first meeting and we're talking about the properties. Everybody's heard about these great deals. They want to talk about foreclosures and short sales and REOs. And I'm here to tell you that we do have those in our market. I will work with you, insist, but they're not smooth transactions, and they are a challenge. But this one I put in there just to say that, you know, I gave it a fair shot. It's listed. This property I'm discussing is listed at $160,000. It's a short sale. It's been on the market for 134 days, and to probably close, it's going to probably be another 90 to 180 days to get a short sale of this nature closed. It's on the website, but if you are shopping for a bargain, you know, it's going to take a while to get that money. Your money's going to be inert for quite a while, but if you want that big buy and hold where 15 years down the road and you're ready to divest, you know, this is going to be your low ball. So I presented it to you and I warned you about it, but if what you want is me to walk you through it, we can discuss that property. Now back to the good stuff. 6821 Amber Springs Way. Unfortunately, this is a great property, and it was sold. I just got it under contract with Marshall Reddick to a Marshall Reddick client. So this happened this week, and the numbers were a little bit different, but they are going to be experiencing high cash flow, and a great area with a high resale value. And we're already through, inspections have been scheduled, and that means appraisals are on the way. So this is going to close up in 30 days. And this is a great example of this area of Indianapolis selling and selling quickly. I believe it was on the market for a very short period of time. I think we got it within the first 5 or 6 days. So when I say that it's moving quickly, it's moving quickly. As investors, you're competing against other investors, and you're competing against owner occupants. Everybody wants into this neighborhood, but then they are into this township. But the township has to abide the laws of appraisal, so it's keeping a ceiling on it right now. If we're able to act and to move forward quickly, we're able to really capitalize on this opportunity. Okay, let's go back one more.
So I actually just want to throw in real quick that the Marshall Reddick client who is currently contracted on 6821 Amber Springs is actually on tonight's presentation. So
hey.
A public congrats and hello. Very exciting, and we're really happy to have him on the call tonight. So let's
well, I'll say we did this very fast. I get to say his person, David. David came and he had identified 2 properties that were already gone, and so I scrambled and David sent a note to correct it up. I believe that we identified and contracted these 2 properties within the hour. So I am, even though there's a time difference, if you're calling me at this time at night, I will hop up and I will find your house. We'll get that contract written, and I will do everything in my power to put you on top of that pile and to work with that listing agent to make sure that you are the contract that is chosen. So, all right, let's go back. Now we're ready.
All right.
Now we're ready. Okay, so this one is fun because guess who has a home in this neighborhood?
I'll give you guys a clue. Our name starts with Christian and ends with Tabar.
Yay! Yes, this is a fun one because not only does it show a positive cash flow of $8,250, it shows. I mean, I was able to pull the comps and do a quick little looky-loo into your hostess's property. So this neighborhood is called Molar Estates at Wildwood Farms. It's a wonderful little piece, and Franklin Township, the builds, they began building and phasing in at 2000, so they're all relatively new. They're all under 20 years. They've got a solid builder. This was Davis, wasn't it? Kristen, do you remember?
It was Davis. Yep.
Yeah, Davis. So Davis Homes has a very long, very good reputation in the city about creating a durable, affordable product. And Kristen, I'm going to ask you questions. You're going to be okay. You're going to be comfortable sharing with some of your price points and what you bought it for, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, not yet. But okay. So this property itself, this is another great example of a B property. Built in 2002. The roof's in great shape. The exterior's in great shape. It's got great rental opportunity. I have it priced at $1,250, but the actual leased property average, the maximums in this neighborhood are popping up to $1,395, and because I'm conservative, I'm recommending the $1,250. But as you can see, there is a great potential for growth. What is yours rent for, Kristen, if you don't mind me asking?
Absolutely not. Ours is actually rented currently for $1,150, but the tenant has been in place for a few years now, and we just haven't raised the rent because they pay on time, and it's very off for us. So we haven't raised the rent, but we have been advised by our management company that we could potentially do so if we wanted to.
Great. That just helps support the solvency of that neighborhood. It's a great buy-in opportunity. And then let's see. When did you buy, Kristen? What year did you buy?
We bought two actually, and at the time of purchase, they were brand new builds. In fact, one of them, if you Google the address on Google Maps, it's still a dirt lot. But they were 2011 and 2012.
Okay, so not very.
Purchase prices for both were $105,000.
Oh, righty, $105,000 in 2012 for a new build. Well, looking at these square footages, the 1440 and such, are those? Is this a similar home to what you have? That sounds like I'm doing a magic trick. Christian, no, I know it's a similar home. But
it is.
I'm
it's
excited.
Very similar. Ours is 4-bedroom. That's the only difference. 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath.
Well, the average, I pulled all of them, and the majority of them are 3 bedrooms. The average sales price for the last 6 months in this neighborhood for this square footage is $139,215. That's $78.96 per square foot. That's just, literally just shy of $79 per square foot. That's a huge appreciation for this property. And there's nobody here to applaud. That made me so sad. I was building up to that. Somebody clap. But yeah, so just this neighborhood is one of my favorites, Wildwood Drive. We have this one on for you. There are a handful of other properties that are available in this neighborhood that are also selling at the same price point. And we can discuss those if you give me a call. There's solid history for leased properties, and like I said, we're seeing Kristen's at 1150. We're showing up to 1395. We're showing an average in the 1250s. This is a really good neighborhood. So with that, I want to say thank you for listening. And I know that I get excited. I know that I'm a little bit scattered, but that's just that's how I succeed in my business. And these are great opportunities. I can't speak highly enough about Indianapolis in general. I hope that you buy. I hope that you come visit me. I have a lot of Marshallenic that come out. We hang out, and I show them their properties. I show them their cities after they've purchased. And Franklin Township, that is my thumbs up hot spot, and I will be continuing to monitor that inventory and monitoring the inventory in some of the emerging markets so that you can get in first, because the first dollar always makes the most dollars.
Thank you, Christopher. I'm glad that you get excited. It just shows everyone how much passion you have for what you're doing. And, we definitely want to work with people who love what they do and want to help us. So I really appreciate that. I want to throw in, since we're talking about properties here, like I mentioned at the beginning, my husband and I own 5 properties total. And if we were going to list them in order from best performing to not best performing, the indie properties are definitely at the top. They've been, like I mentioned, very low maintenance, very hands-off for us, and the cash flow is very consistent. So it's been a great investment for us, and a lot of the clients that I work with who are also interested in indie have great experiences as well with Christopher and with Mike Taylor. And we're very happy to help every one of you guys who are on tonight to, also join the club. And if you like this property on Wildwood, your tenants and my tenants could be friends. Christopher, before we move on, we have a question from Patty. She wants to know, are we seeing a lot of cash offers, multiple offers, or offers that are coming in above asking that we're also competing with?
We are seeing large down payments making offers attractive. We're not seeing so much of 100% cash. I mean, that does make it most attractive, but we're not seeing too much of that in this particular market, because they're very attractive to FHA conventional and insured conventional buyers, because they're absolutely warrantable. So And when we do end up in a multiple offer situation, I have a handful of strategies that I work with. So the first reflex is not, I'm just going to give you $5,000 over asking, because what's happening is we started to see people trying to use an overbid as a strategy, and then, oh, it'll shake out an appraisal. No, a smart listing agent, and I teach this to my guys, a smart listing agent will require somebody putting in an overbid that they guarantee and show proof of funds that they can hold up their end of the bargain if it appraises low. So we're not seeing too much of overbids. We'll see it in $1,500, $2,000 increments, but we don't see $137,000 property being bid at the $150,000 level and then appraising at the 137, and then people just kind of throwing their hands up. The listing agents have devices and they have instruments in place to protect their sellers against that type of strategy. But if we do get into multiple offers, Patty, I do have other strategies which include bulking up the earnest money, which means that you have more on the line, which is it all goes into your transaction, but it's very attractive to a seller.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that explanation. We're going to go ahead and hop into our second poll question now. And it is directly related to the properties that we just saw. So which property in Indianapolis was your favorite? And you guys can go ahead and select, was it the first one on Wild Horse Drive? Was it the second one we saw on Inspiration? Was it my tenant's neighbors at 8108 Whistlewood Drive, or was it Amber Springs Way? We'll give you guys a second to answer. And we're waiting. I think some people fell asleep. Just kidding. All right, we'll give you guys a couple more seconds to make sure we get an answer from everybody. There's definitely a winner by a landslide. Let's go ahead and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and close this out. And here's what you guys thought. Like I said, by a landslide, the first property, 5637 Wild Horse Drive. I'm very curious to hear what was so attractive about that one. Usually the difference isn't so great. And nobody liked Inspiration. What the heck happened? And then Whistlewood and Amber Springs were a tie at 15%. So very interesting split there, Christopher. What do you think?
Well, I probably did a disservice to Inspiration Drive. I'm sorry it got a 0. That's a bad place to be.
I know. With such a happy name.
I think because I was very, very excited and passionate about Wildcat Run. That would be my guess. And also, I believe it's the lowest price. So at 127, it comes in as a winner. So I hope that does not mean. Well, I'm glad that 15% like Amber Springs. I hope David picked his own property. But yeah, so any one of you that wants to purchase Wild Horse Drive, give me a call the next day or so we can get it under contract, because it's going to move fast. It's going to market for 6 days.
All right, guys. So let's move right along here. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, what Marshall Reddick offers you is a team, not just a person who's going to help you with the transaction, but a full team. So you'll have your advisor here at Marshall Reddick Real Estate. Some familiar names I see I'm already working with. Some of you I know are working with my colleague Tanya. But your real estate advisor is going to be the first person who's going to review your criteria with you and help you decide what you're looking for and get everything in place so that when you're ready to connect with Christopher, you have everything dialed in and you're ready to go. So then, you'll connect with your regional rep. We'll make sure that you get your financing in order, because you need to have a pre-approval letter from a lender if you're going to finance in order to make an offer. Christopher won't even be able to submit an offer for you without that approval, because that's to the seller that you are already qualified and that you can afford the property that you want to purchase. So your financing is really important. We always connect you with the property manager. We'll provide you some questions to ask to make sure that you get that all dialed in. And then, of course, we have an insurance, preferred insurance broker that we work with as well. So every step of the transaction, you have somebody to help you and make sure that you know exactly what's coming next and exactly what to expect. If you guys have questions, I know I've been seeing a lot of them come through as we've gone along, but we are happy to answer all of your questions. We're running a little short on time. In fact, I like to try to get out of here about 13 minutes ago. So we're going to try to wrap it up here really quickly before we start losing our audience. But if you have questions that we weren't able to get to tonight, you can email me or you can email Christopher directly, and we definitely want to get all those answered for you so that you can make a decision on moving forward. Like I mentioned, when we do a consultation with either myself or Tanya, whoever your advisor is, we help you to decide whether or not Indianapolis is the best market for you based on a few criteria. So why are you looking to invest? How are you planning on doing so? What is your time frame? What are you looking for in a property? Where this is, you know, all these 4 criteria are going to help us select where. So as everything builds on itself, then we introduce you to all of your key players and your real estate team. And we really cover the who, what, where, when, and why of your investment strategy so that we can help you in the best way that we can. If you want to schedule that consultation, you can reach out to me directly. All my contact info is here at the bottom of your screen. And you can also go directly to the Marshall Reddick website, marshallreddick.com/consultation. And again, no pressure and there's no obligation. If you want to have a consultation with me and we have a conversation on your strategy and our business model and we decide that it's just not going to work out, that's totally fine. I'll still say hello to you at the grocery store, and everything is still cool. You can still use the Marshall Reddick website. We still want you to feel like the resources are available to you. So there's absolutely no pressure. We want to help anyone who wants to invest in real estate. So again, here's my information real quickly. You can jot that down. You can also find me on the website, and you can connect with us on many social media platforms. We do events several times a month, both online like this and live in person, up in the Bay Area, down in San Diego, and of course in Orange and LA counties. And I think that's going to do it for tonight. Like I said, I thank you guys so much for sticking around an extra 15 minutes. I know we ran a little long tonight, but you know, Christopher,
it's all my fault. I got winded.
Not at all. Christopher gets excited about his market, and like I said, this is a favorite market of mine because I own property here. I love the area, and the properties themselves have performed very, very well. So it's always a pleasure for me to hop on a call with you, Christopher, and I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Hey, thank you for the opportunity. I am just proud to be part of the Marshall Reddick family and part of the team.
And we are happy to have you. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.